Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into what is set to be an exciting round 11 here at a track none other than Circuit of the Americas. Pole position started our season out running around, and now we are going to finish our seasons here running through in the Americas and running around the USA. Season started out in the Middle East with Qatar, Saudi Arabia. We made a run through the Asian areas of China, Japan, Hungary, Austria, Great Britain. We ran the Middle East or the European tracks, and now we finish with a good North American jaunt here. Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, and then we'll run Las Vegas next week to finish our season. Hope everyone's having a great day. And of course, this is round 11. This is USA, and this is a sprint race weekend, which is a very, very big deal here for us today. And I seem to have no game audio here, so let's see if we can fix that. There we go. Sometimes a quick just double tap of the escape will fix no game audio. But big storylines here coming through today. Of course, my name is Brad. I will be your commentator through this entire event here on your wonderful Sunday evening. But big storylines coming through, and it's going to be Tazo here being one of them. Tazo's been a very, very strong driver all season, and Tazo is looking to help those Alfa Romeos get up into P2 in the Constructors' Championship. Just 2 points separate them and the Mercedes of John Meister and Simon. Tazo and Cashty, of course, looking to round out P2 in the Constructors' Championship this weekend. This could be their chance. Red Bull, of course, have secured the Constructors' Championship, but our other conversation here of the weekend needs to be about this Red Bull right here. This driver, this ART team driver of Graxit, he is looking to secure a driver's championship this weekend and declare himself the Season 9 PPR champion. And it is doable this weekend. It is doable depending on how him and the P2 driver, John Meister, end up here in the sprint and in the race. Of course, it is a sprint weekend, which means we run the 50% lay, and then we run our race. We run one 18-minute qualifying session. Of course, we're already a few minutes into it here as we see John Meister starting a lap. So we run one 18-minute qualifying session. We run our sprint laps, and then we will restart a lobby and then run a race. But should be exciting nonetheless, however things end out. We do, of course, have Not Velocity, Frantic, Tazo, Kashti, Graxit, Myros, Wasserschwein, Baran, Maverick, Simon, Jalajnik, Hula, John Meister on your screen here, and Debit being our 14 drivers that are running through. I believe we do have a couple of drivers missing here from this front part of qualifying. It looks like the drivers we're missing right now is going to be Buchik, and also it looks like we are going to be missing... Looks like one of them just joined there, Dormati joining in. And then it looks like Vucic is just our other driver that is missing here from the front edge of qualifying. No big issues there. But we continue to watch here, and we're going to watch fastest lap, Cashty with a 133.1 in that Alfa Romeo. John Meister will be looking to improve. I'm thinking 132s. High 132s are where I am expecting to see times land. And John Meister fulfilling the prophecy with a 132.808, and now we jump, and we're going to watch Graxit here finish up a lap. Graxit looking to do a Red Bull domination here. He's been very dominant here in this season. 132.696 we see, which is a very, very, very good time. See behind him there, that is the Williams of Debe, who just finished up a lap, and they will be coming through the first sector here on their cooldowns here. And now it's going to be Frantic, the next driver that needs to put in a time, and we'll see where Frantic can land here going through this very, very tricky horseshoe third sector that can prove for a lot of good overtaking moments, but also can prove a lot of challenges for these drivers as they go. And then you come around the final couple of corners. Of course, we know from the real Circuit of the Americas race that track limits was a big, big problem here at COTA. And there were even petitions, there were arguments about it. But in the end, it's the FIA. What can you do here? Tazo, who has invalidated his lap, so he is going a bit slower here, trying to just relax. Jalajne coming across the line, 132.124. So will we see the 31s? Jalajne up half a second on Baran. And Graxit, that's a impressive time to see. And I'm really, really looking forward to seeing where the drivers can land here. Tazo coming into the pits. Dormati currently on an outlap. Oh, and they did, of course, add that old school Ferrari livery into the Formula One game here. So F123 and that classic Las Vegas Ferrari livery we get for the time being. I'm very, very happy to see that. And you can see Dormati getting out of the way here. A McLaren, I believe that was Jalajne going by. Jalajne, who is, of course, on an in lap, but Dormati may not know that. Dormati may just be getting out of the way, being polite, wanting to get a bit of a slipstream toe, just kind of relax behind the current provisional pole sitter here with just over 11 minutes left to go here in your qualifying session for this sprint weekend. Now I see Dormati getting a little bit of a snap there going into the third sector. Ooh, sliding the wheels. That's not how you want to warm up the tires there. But Dormati doing well to catch it and is now just going to coast through third sector and get ready to go yet again. Everybody's in the pits at the moment except for the McLarens and except for Not Velocity, Dormati, and Myros, who are our three drivers that are on their outlaps at the moment. And now you see Dormati starting that push lap. You hear the DRS ping, goes across the line, and this is going to be where things go. Wasserschwein retiring out of the session in the pit lane. So Wasserschwein, the best he will have is possibly 8th place, but several drivers left to put in laps, and we do expect to see several drivers improve as things go. Wasserschwein out of the session as well, and leaving the session, we'll try to get an update and see exactly what happened there with Wasserschwein, if something happened. And of course, Jack not joining us this weekend is Jack having some different things going on with family. We hope everything's okay there. But of course, as is always the opinion of the league, family is important and make sure that your family is good. We are, of course, just a group of drivers that do things for fun, and it is important that things are okay there. Dormati coming through third sector. Starting a third sector now, comes through the second sector. 103.174 coming out of sector 2. Seems to be on pace for a good lap, but only time will tell because this third sector is very, very tricky. And of course, we saw Dormati slide there in the third sector, just steering the warm-up lap. And now we see the Ferrari driver coming around the horseshoes here, and really, really trying to keep things together. And as Dormati comes through, again, holding on, Frack Limits catches him out on the penultimate corner, which is unfortunate to see, but is something I feel we'll see a lot of today. I feel like track limits are going to be a very, very, very big issue all the way through. Myra's coming through third sector, horseshoe as well. And again, holding things together. This is where we saw Dormati invalidate just on the inside of the white line. You can see keeping a lot of margin there, not leaving anything up to chance. Comes out of the final quarter, flat to the line, and is good enough for a P7 with a 133.515 going on. Several drivers out on outlaps now and trying to put things back through. Maverick is up a 1/10.5 on the first sector and is doing a pretty clean lap here in that Haas. Of course, his teammate now sitting in P9 out, but plenty of time to be found. There's a good time delta here through the field, and it looks like the drivers are doing their best to try to keep things competitive. All the time should come down as this qualifying session goes. Of course, qualifying here at Austin is in the evening, so that does create a bit of a unique challenge because the sun can get in your eyes for spotting on a couple of corners, especially right here, the end of the long back straight, and it can really, really catch you off guard, and for spotting your corner going into the penultimate corner and running out on track limits. But it seems like the drivers are doing well to keep things tidy here. Maverick seems to be very nice and tidy through the horseshoe and holding on as best as he can as Maverick comes out of the horseshoe. Again, spot your corner for that penultimate corner, and look at that, the sun just right in your eyes. But does very, very well, hits the final corner now, comes around. I don't think this is going to be good enough for pole position, spins it actually out. And Maverick and Wasserschwein both out, but Maverick did get across the line. 134.375 down by a millisecond. Unfortunately, Maverick will be out. So the Haas team starting P10 and P11, possibly the best they can do. depending on how drivers behind them go. Of course, Buchik and Dormati, both very, very fast drivers. We do expect to see them improve. Simon coming out of the left-hander onto the backstretch and doing his best to try to put in good times as well. Flat out down that backstretch and doing very, very well to hold on to it. Now coming through here, T14 and turn 15. And again, just looking around, trying to watch because that sun is going to catch your eyes. And Simon actually spinning there on the exit of turn 15. Turn 15 is a tricky little hairpin. You can catch you off guard. So that's Simon's lap down. But I do see that Graxent is on the start of another lap. So let's ride on board with your current championship leader who is looking to secure things this weekend. Coming out of the first sector, very, very strong. And again, flat out all the way through this first sector, just lefts and rights that you have to spot these curbs for. Very, very relaxed here in the first sector. Hold on as best you can and make sure you obey track limits because that white line is very unforgiving. You can see Graxent doing very, very well. Hold it together. Now it's just flat all the way down. You're already through 10 corners. Hit turn 11 here. You can see turn 11 opens up a lot going into the apex. Jalajne 131.927 provisional pole, but we're going to stick on board here with Graxent, who is looking to chase that down. It's flat down the backstretch. You can see the sun just right in your eye. And the drivers are going to have to really just rely on their knowledge of the track and their knowledge of everything and their braking points. Hit the brakes. I thought he had track limits there going into turn 12. He's purple middle sector, though. Graxent up by 6/100ths of a second. Coming through the middle sector. Now it's the third sector. Third sector is where things get tricky. This is where you really have to watch things. Traction is at a premium through here. Now, you hit out at turn 15. You hit the triple horseshoe here. 16, 17, 18. Come down into turn 19. Turn 19, probably the trickiest corner here on the track, but he spots it perfectly. And now, turn 20. This nice left-hander. Hit the curb on the inside. Find the curb on the outside. DRS, flat to the line. Graxent comes across. 132.585. He's up by a 10th, but not able to improve into the 131s as Jalajne is. So Jalajne setting the pace here at the moment at Coda and doing very, very well with 5 minutes to go. It is anyone's guess how this ends up because Jalajne, John Meister, and Graxent currently are top three. And of course, remember, Graxent has to win, and John Meister needs to not finish as well in order for Graxent to secure the championship this weekend. John Meister can still be in competition coming in to next week into Las Vegas. We will see how things go. All 16 drivers in the session here. Not Velocity on an outlap here. Cashby is on an outlap as well. Remember, Alfa Romeo trying to secure that P3 in the Constructors' Championship. Or sorry, P2 in the Constructors' Championship this weekend. Just 2 points behind Mercedes. They have it to do here. But it is really the question of can Tazo and Cashby finish better than John Meister and Simon through this Grand Prix weekend? And we'll see. We'll see how things go because that is going to be the big deciding factor for the Constructors' Championship. It is all still to play for at the moment. Watching here, Cashty, who comes through turn 10, keeping things very, very nice and tidy. I think there was a stream where I accidentally called that corner turn 9 for, like, the entire race. I feel like I remember that happening. I might be wrong, but, you know, you'll have those moments. Checking in here. Looks like Graxent is reporting that he got a 5-place penalty, but it's not reporting on my side. So I'm not sure what that is about. Cashy comes across 132.457. Good enough for second place there. So Kashti putting in very, very good time. And of course, his teammate Tazo on an outlap there, but has caught the track limits there in the first sector. So that might cause a problem there for Tazo. 2.5 minutes left to go here in this qualifying session. You can see Jalajne is currently out on an outlap here. And you see John Meister is out on an outlap. Graxent is in the pits here, but Graxent now exiting the pits. So we'll see what happens in terms of those top 3, those top 4, even the top 5, because Baran is doing well to try to challenge it very hard as well. But Kashti off the run plan here. So Kashti's qualifying session will be over, and the best Kashti we'll see is that P2, but half a second off of Jalajne. Jalajne showing some amazing pace here. We'll see how things land. Debe coming through first sector, doing fairly well, fighting with a bit of traffic. Actually, he is going to be on an end lap there. So Debe trying to not be the traffic as we go. Myros coming around the line, right behind the Ferrari, holding on, gets up into P10 there, and Dormati is just starting a push lap there in P16. Dormati will be one of our final drivers on push laps here with just a little bit of time left in the qualifying session. Dormati doing his best through, and then of course Tazo there in P9, who is putting through a lap, trying to push and do his best with just over 60 seconds left to go in the session. Drivers need to start crossing the line very, very soon, and most of them are in the third sector, so they should. It looks like the Red Bulls and Jalajne might be jockeying back and forth a bit. They might be at risk of not hitting the line, but we'll keep our eyes on them as we go here. Yellow flag, sector 3. It looks like drivers trying to get a bit of space here as we see the Bulls, Graxit and Baran going very, very slow coming through. Checkered flag should be dropping any time now. So it's really all about, have they left themselves enough time, as Jalajne will be coming around the final sector here. 30 seconds left to go, and surely Graxit and Baran have plenty of time unless they dilly-dally, which does not seem to be the Bulls' style. But as they dilly-dally and start their lap, it is, of course, Dormati coming across in the final sector, coming around that turn 15, and will be setting up for the final push lap that he can. Now, as we come through here, Dormati, 5 seconds left to go. So checkered flag will fall here, and Dormati will be our first driver to lock things in. Checkered flags through. Dormati up to P11 with a one and done. Kashti in second place in the pit lane. Will not improve. John Meister's coming down the backstretch, and of course, John Meister's teammate Simon is coming around in the third sector, but is invalidated on laps. Frantic is coming around, and up in front of Frantic is going to be an AlphaTauri that is running off. That should be the AlphaTauri of Kula. So Kula is done and over with as he goes through. Jalajne coming down the backstretch here. Jalajne is going to start the third sector, and it doesn't look like he's improving, but we'll see as he crosses the line. Jalajne actually down by just over 2/10, and we'll see if Jalajne finds any time in the third sector or if Jalajne feels secure in that time. Simon retiring from the session there, so Simon will be out and done. Simon will start P15. The Mercedes split each end of the grid for the sprint race. Jalajne coming around the third sector, but can Jalajne find any more time? It looks like Jalajne is going to be slow through, so it's all up to this man here, the championship challenger of Graxent against John Meister. And it looks like Graxent going very, very slow in the third sector. So Graxent will not improve any. But his teammate Baran does have time to do so. Baran coming around final quarter here. And it looks like he's going to be up on the time. Where will Baran find things as he comes through? Baran does not improve. 132.646. And Baran will be in fifth place here as Graxent will slow crawl across the line. Something happened on Graxent's lap. You see a bit of dirt on the car. And it looks like Graxent will settle for starting on the second row of the grid here. Not where he wanted to be. And of course it is Jalajne, our pole sitter, as we wait on Kula in the pit lane to get settled. And we see Jalajne coming around, taking his victory lap through. Is it Jalajne, Jean Meister, Kashti, Graxent, and Baran, our top 5 here. And Jalajne just continuing around here to finish things up. It said Jalajne was purple middle sector, which is impressive, if so, because that was just the end lap. That was the fun lap. And now we set up for the sprint race here. Of course, it's sprint race and then the actual race as we come through. So sprint race will kick off with Zalazny, John Meister, Kashti, Kraxent, Baron, Not Velocity in P6, Kula, Debe, Tazo, Myros, Dormati, Buchik, Wasserschwein, Franek, and then from there it was the final two drivers of Maverick and Simon that will round out our 16-car grid here as we get ready to go for our sprint race session. No lobby restart, so stick with us just a moment and we will be right back. All right, and if I can remember to mute my mic, there we go, and we are back going. And again, formation lap here before our 10-lap sprint race. It should be all drivers on the mediums as far as I would guess. And actually, it looks like I am wrong. It looks like we've got a variety of medium and softs. Of course, hopefully no drivers will have to pit here during our 10-lap sprint race, but we'll see. We'll see how things end up here as the drivers go through. Of course, Zalazny will lead them around. And we'll see how Zalazny can hold things going into the start of this race. It is, of course, Zalazny and John Meister. You can see John Meister trying to push Zalazny along, but behind Graxent going very, very slow. Kula disqualified from the session, along with Not Velocity. I'm going to imagine there was some contact between them or something happened, and that is what caused the disqualification. But drivers come around on this formation lap to get set up for the sprint. And again, the sprint, 10 laps of action, and then we'll take a short break and go into our actual race session, which should be about 20-something laps. I don't remember an exact lap count, forgive me, as it has been a long day. And of course, big shout out to Moza Racing for letting Pole Position Racing be an affiliate, and a big shout out to Racetracks for getting involved as well. Of course, the winner of this season will get a nice prize given to them by Racetracks, and will get some good goodies coming their way from Racetracks, and an actual trophy. And that is going to be awesome for them. We'll see what they do. Of course, they have code PPR10 that gives you a 10% discount on their array of products, and will be awesome. Of course, first place will be a championship trophy, and they get an image of an F1 track of their choice with an engraving. Second place and third place will get F1 track models. So plenty to play for here in Pole Position Racing, as John Meister was also disqualified from this formation lap. You see the drivers slotting in here, and Graxent coming through. Zalazny is on the grid. Kashti P3, Baron disqualified for overshooting the grid box, and will get snapped back, but get buckled up for 10 laps of sprint race action here in Pole Position Racing as the drivers relax and form up. And we wait, and here we go. It is going to be 5 red lights. And we are underway here for our sprint race action. You can see John Meister, Zalazny trying to get away, and Zalazny gets away very, very well. John Meister does not get away as well. Kashti up the inside, turn 1, lots of action. Look at that. There's a deep dive from Baron trying to get through. They're 4 wide there, coming in out of turn 1, trying to hold on as best as they can. You can see lots of drivers making moves already as they go through. And now it is going to be the matter of who gained where. The front 5 stay in place. Debe's up 2 places in the P6. Tazo's up 2 places in the P7. Velocity and Kula losing out positions there. And they are doing their best as they can all the way around, holding on to things. And it is yellow flag sector 2, as it looks like that is going to be Kula, who has spun and dropped way back down the order, but doing his best through. We're still just yellow flags, no safety car here that I can see. And Zalazny, John Meister, our top 2. Kashti P3, Graxent in 4th place, trying to chase down Kashti as best he can. And look at this. This is the move down through the inside, going into turn 11, 12. What corner is that? Somebody tell me where we're at on the track. Turn 12. But look at that. That is Kashti trying to fight it back here around the inside, and he does get a switchback done here, but now in turn 15, Graxent's going to switch it back yet again, and look at that, Debe and Baron battling side by side. So both bulls under pressure, one from the Williams, one from the Alpha, and it is going to be Kashti and Graxent still holding it side by side coming into turn 19. And as you can see, again, the sprint race in the evening here, and it is just a big challenge for who goes where. Graxit does get ahead at the end of the lap, and it is also Baran holding on to the position against Debe. So Graxit up into P3, but look at this. Cashty has the run. Of course, no DRS for 2 laps after the start of the race, so it is all about the muscle power. But look at that. Cashty having to compromise that inside line into turn 1, and that is going to give Graxit the run yet again going into the first sector, and Graxit is able to hold on to P3. Again, yellow flag, and it looks like we are going to have some sort of caution there, and it looks like that is something with Myros VSC deployed, as Myros has completely lost his front wing going into turn 1. And it's put Kula up in the mix as well. I'm going to imagine Myros hit with someone there, and that's what caused that. So VSC deployed here, neutralizes the field. Everybody runs to a delta pace. But that is very unfortunate for Myros, as Myros will have to pit because having no downforce on this track, it's virtually impossible to survive the first sector or the third sector. Second sector is really where all of the speed comes into play. And look at that, Dormati up into P10. Very, very good moves from the Ferrari driver to be staying very consistent. Up a place there, Maverick's up 4 places. Tazo's up 3, Graxit and Cashty have swapped places. But again, it's Jalajne and John Meister, our front 2 holding on. But look at that. John Meister trying to get the run at the end of the VSC to try to take advantage of a pass, and maybe we'll be able to do so. We'll see how this happens. And still just waiting on that VSC to end. The field's starting to bunch a little bit, which typically can happen under a VSC. And now we're back underway here. Jalajne, John Meister getting a good run. And again, DRS now enabled. The VSC does not extend that timer. It is only a safety car that will. And look at this. Look at this battle. Cashty and Baran getting very, very swirly through. You can see there, it looks like Baran ghosting out for a moment there. Looks like something happened through. And now Debe retiring from the session, spinning in the first sector and crashing out. You can see him there on the left-hand side, and that is going to be another VSC deployed here. And I absolutely love this helicopter shot through the first sector. All the drivers just being nice and relaxed. And there we go. There's the camera shot for you. VSC out, lap 3 of 10. Second VSC we've had here. And unfortunately, this time it is Debe that has lost out big time, is actually retired out. Big wreck coming out of turn 1, and Debe will be starting from P16 for our race when our race gets underway shortly after the sprint race concludes. Graxit, Baran, P3, P4, and they've got the alphas of Cashty and Tazo behind them, P5, P6. John Meister there in P2, and Graxit needs to push and needs to get around John Meister, but a 2.5 second gap as it sits is going to be very hard to make up, and that couldn't have came at a worse time for them, as Graxit gets caught out of a corner, slightly off guard, and that is going to mix things up a bit. Dormati enjoys where it catches them, though, because Dormati is able to get around Buchik and get up into P8 there, and Dormati will continue to push his way forward, trying to move ahead in the field, and that is not what I meant to do. There we go. Let's see if I can hit the correct buttons here to give you a good live view of the action. I was trying to get a view of Frantic and Maverick side-by-side battling around here in the third sector. Out of 19, again, side-by-side they go. Maverick will hold on to the lead against Frantic for P11, and of course, Maverick will need to push there with his teammate to try to get the last of the points-paying places as he can. John Meister trying to keep within a half a second here of Jalajne. Jalajne doing very, very well. They just keep a consistent pace, not trying to burn out those medium tires. And John Meister just trying to keep in the mix as well. And then Graxton, of course, in third place. Look at the Red Bull here, trying to push 2.5 seconds of gap, though. And that is a bit of time to make up here around this circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. But doing his best, trying as hard as he can, and is holding on to it very, very consistently. And here we go down the backstretch. Baran half a second back here. John Meister, Jalajne with the help of DRS. It is going to be Jalajne getting behind John Meister, but now Jalajne, of course, has the good pace that he has and is going to try to just hold on there and stay behind. It is purple middle sector for John Meister. John Meister, of course, is fighting to keep his championship chances alive here in Pole Position Racing Season 9, and it is a very, very close battle. 18 points currently separate John Meister and Jalajne, but everything could change after this weekend. John Meister currently in the lead of this sprint race. On lap 4 of 10, Jalajne P2, Graxit in 3rd place, and Baran in 4th. Wasserschwein dropping back into 12th place now, actually dropping back even further with Wasserschwein having a spin there coming out of turn 18, and you can see Wasserschwein actually dropping all the way into last. A little bit of contact there with Kula, I believe, and that is going to spin Wasserschwein a bit more in the 3rd sector, but he's able to hold on, and he's going to try to get back going again, but it's going to be very, very slow comings here for him to get moving again. Dormati now battling out with Buchik. Up in 8th place goes Dormati. Buchik down into P9, and that is a good battle for the last of the points paying places as well to keep your eye on. But the big battle here, the leaders, John Meister, Jalajne, half a second, 4/10 of a second the gap here. And as we come out of turn 11 here on to the backstretch, and it is going to be all up to Jalajne, half a second the gap. And while it seems like a long distance with the help of DRS, he should be able to make it up. Graxon, of course, has cut the gap down to about 2 seconds with 5 laps to go. And Graxon slowly gaining, but is he going to gain enough by the time we hit the end of this race? So Jalajne staying in P2 here and just settling in and relaxing. And look at this, Kashti trying to go up the inside of Baran here. Alfa Romeo trying to keep P2 and the constructors alive, so every point for them matters. And safety car has been deployed for what? I'm not sure. And that was right as Kashti was about to get a pass on Baran. And it looks like that is for a spin from Wasserschwein in the 1st sector. And safety car deployed here in this sprint race. And now, what do? Do you pit? Do you stay out? John Meister is going to opt to pit here, and Jalajne will stay out. Graxit will stay out. Baran will stay out. Kashti staying out. Velocity's into the pits. Tazo stays out. So, a couple of drivers opting to pit, which is a very interesting decision to me to see. See, John Meister going on to soft tires. John Meister did not have damage to repair. So just taking the gamble, trying to pull a Graxit from several weeks ago and go on to a fresh set of softs and try to make up some positions. Not would have been the decision I would have made, but I am not the race engineer. I am just the commentator. However, it is my job to question the decisions of the race drivers, as we see here. John Meister pits, not Velocity pits, Simon pits, and Kula into the pits as well, along with Wasserschwein. And at this point, it is decisions, decisions, decisions. Graxon is going to need to make a run here. John Meister deciding to pit and go for the soft tires, but what does that do for his championship chances when we go back green? How will finishing further back in the sprint affect him? Will he be able to fight his way back forward? I do not know. I don't know how this weekend or how this event will happen. We're lap 6 of 10 here as the drivers come around. Of course, remember, this is the penultimate round here in pole position racing, with the final round being next week in Las Vegas. And it looks like this will be the final lap of safety cars. I do see that the lights are out on the back of that Mercedes AMG safety car, which means at the end of this, we will go back racing, and it will be a 3-lap shootout to the end here for Jalajne, Graxit, and Baron to see who can finish where. It seems like at the moment it is going to be Jalajne with the pace advantage and possibly able to hold on, but Graxit is a strong competitor, so we'll see how things happen. And as we come around turn 11, these pace laps are so long. I now understand why the drivers always try to hurry up the safety car, because these pace laps feel like they take forever. As we go through, we should get the call safety car in this lap at the end of this second sector. And we just await for that call. And there it is. Safety car in this lap. So Jalajne will take control of the field at this point, and it will be the safety car running into the pits. And then from there, it is the decision of Jalajne when he wants to go. But of course, he's got hungry Red Bulls, hungry Alfa Romeos with all to play for. But that P9 of John Meister really, really putting himself under some pressure, because John Meister needs to have very, very good race results in order to keep this race weekend alive and that championship charge alive. Now we go through. Jalajne will opt to take the field running out of turn 19, and that will put us through. Graxit there in P2, Baron P3, Kashki 4th place, 5th place will be Tazo. And now we are back to green flag running with just lap 8 of 10 beginning here, and it is going to be 3 laps till the end of this sprint race. And Jalajne takes the field through. It looks like very, very clean runs all the way up, but it does look like here it's the Alpines of Not Velocity and Buchek getting very, very racy as they come through, and you can see their Not Velocity moving forward. John Meister taking advantage of the brand new soft tires, getting up into P8 here very, very quickly, and already before the end of the first sector here is up into P8, and John Meister just needs to keep things moving, keep moving forward, and it looks like something's come a cropper between Buchek and Myros. Come a cropper, there's a phrase I haven't said in a while. Looks like no safety car because we're too close to the end of the race here, but Buchek, Myros wrecking. We'll see if we can get the report on what happened there. John Meister taking a dive up the inside of Frantic, going on to P7, and Not Velocity going with some velocity up into 9th place, and is going to continue to push forward. John Meister now just needs to put the pedal to the metal. Of course, no DRS, I believe, for the rest of this race, so it will be a matter of pace. And John Meister getting around Dormati up into 6th place, and now he comes up on the hungry Alfa Romeos in P4 and P5. And here we go, John Meister around the outside. John Meister purple middle sector around the outside of Tazo, dispatches Tazo very, very quickly. So my question about why would you pit for the softs, and it's because you have some obnoxious pace on the soft tires. And now Kashti needs to just keep his eyes behind him, because Kashti is going to be the next driver under pressure. How many passes can John Meister get done before the end of a lap? And it looks like the answer is going to be 5. Is John Meister now up into 5th place. And look at that, 134.693. That's a very, very good time. John Meister diving around the inside of Kashki here, going down into turn 1, and we'll take that inside line, comes around, holds onto it, and now John Meister in P4. Watch out, Bulls, you've got company. 2 laps to go here in the sprint race shootout, and look at that, as it is John Meister getting very, very racy with Baron very, very quickly. You see Baron trying to hold up John Meister a little bit there, as Baron knows that him and his teammate are battling things out for the Drivers' Championship. John Meister and Graxit are, of course, the champion contenders, and this is a game of teammates. Look at this. Defending the inside goes Baron. Very, very good decision. Graxit half a second off of Jalajne. Look at that. They're right up the road. Look at that. John Meister with superior exit grip And now it's a drag race down the backstretch. But of course, John Meister is posed on that left-hand side line. He slots back in there into the slipstream. He's going to try to follow it. Baran runs him all the way down into the inside corner. And now it is John Meister, again, 4th place. Baran with a mega defense, but can't keep the traction out of turn 12. And now John Meister will slot it up at the P3. Tries to get a long way around. Baran runs very, very wide. John Meister with a snap of oversteer. And now John Meister has to get defensive from Cashty. Cashty almost losing that front wing. And it is a bit of contact between John Meister and Baran. Baran driving extremely defensive all the way through. That gap's open to 2.4 seconds now as we go through. And we'll hit the final lap here. 2.5 seconds will be the gap between Baran and John Meister. John Meister is dealing with a team that is absolutely gunning for the win. Look at the defense that's going through. And now, as we come through, drag race down the line here, final lap has started, 0.3 of a second, the gap between Graxit and Zhelazny. John Meister and Baran side by side, and yet, finally, John Meister gets the pass done. John Meister now has 2 seconds to make up in 1 lap, and I'm not saying it's not doable. I'm just saying that's a tall ask. Baran played the ultimate team game here and defended for his teammate as much as he could. And look at that, Graxit, while we're looking at that, gets the pass for the lead here. Graxit up in the lead, Zhelazny P2 and P3 John Meister. The gap is 1.5 seconds between Zhelazny and John Meister now. Can he pull that gap down going into turn 11? And we see here hard braking coming around the corner, and Graxit needs to just make it half a lap in the lead. And he's got a hungry Zhelazny behind. He's got John Meister for company in 3rd place, Baran in 4th, Cashty in 5th. Should be able with DRS to get a run here, and Cashty does. He gets past Baran, gets up into 4th place, and Velocity will get past Baran as well. Look at that up the inside. Holds on to it. Gap 1.7 between John Meister and Graxit. I think it's just a little too much of a gap there. Again, Baran playing that team game, knowing that Graxit has the pace, and Baran just defending as hard as he could all the way through. And as we come through the 3rd sector here, anyone's guess how this ends up, because we see here it is Graxit P2, John Meister P3, a second off of Graxit now, and closing that gap. But 2 little corners, not enough time. So the top 3 will come across the line here. It will be Zhelazny, Graxit, and John Meister that win your sprint race here with that run. Velocity does get the pass done going into the final quarter. 4th place is not Velocity. 5th place, Cashty. 6th place, Baran. Tazo, P7 with Kula side by side into 8th place. Brannick, 9th. Wasserschwein, 10th. Simon retires from the session at the end. But Zhelazny comes across the line for the win. Take a bow, Zhelazny. Very, very good run. And Graxit with the ultimate teammate of defense getting that 2nd place. Not Velocity, your driver of the day for the sprint race. Very, very respectable run there. And Graxit going through. John Meister deciding to go on the soft tires there, pitting with that safety car. Very, very interesting decision. Not one that I was expecting, but one that he took. And hey, you got to be very, very happy with it. And there we go. 8 points to Zhelazny, 7 points to Graxit, helping him chase down in that championship, and 6 points to John Meister. The gap now 19 points between those two. Everybody stick with us. I am going to take a quick break. We're going to do a lobby reset. When we come back, you've still got 50% of a race to come from this Circuit of the Americas. All right, and as we come back here with Circuit of the Americas, Austin, Texas, the drivers are getting set up here for what should be an exciting race coming through. We have a lobby reset, and of course, we always do that between sprint and the race, and that's just to minimize any sort of potential issues, desyncs, anything that could happen. But again, big story going into this event is going to be 2 things to watch for. Mercedes versus Alfa Romeo for that P2 in the Constructors. And of course, the big battle between John Meister and Graxit. The gap now 19 points after that exciting sprint race. Had some good action there, some good moments, some good battling. John Meister putting on the soft tires there late and running things through and getting himself all the way back up onto the podium for the sprint race. And now it's just a matter of where does he finish against Graxit. And now we get ready to bring in some action. Drivers getting the setups going, getting ready for a formation lap. And for at least part of this race, I get to be joined by someone I love to call a good friend of mine. It's not Syntax, but it's going to be someone who is going to prove to help out a lot. Alex, how are you doing this wonderful evening?
Hey Brad, hey everybody on Pole Position Racing. Good to be alongside you here at Circuit of the Americas. A fantastic 3.426 mile circuit. It is a staple of the Formula One calendar in the Lone Star State, as the drivers really are going to get underway for the formation lap. For those not knowing who I am a in real life and sim racing commentator. I am the excuse me, lead commentator for the ADAC Sim Racing Expo, being the voice of European Rotax for 6 seasons, and a little bit of an announcement from me. I'll be joining the commentary team for Pole Position Racing for the next season.
Me and Alex have gotten the pleasure to work together on several things here, different leagues and different events, and it's been great to get to know Alex. Alex has been somewhat of a good mentor to me and a good friend, and it's exciting to have him join along on what I like to call a passion of mine, which is, of course, pole position racing. And Alex, you've gotten to see a bit behind the scenes, this big battle for the constructors, the big battle in the drivers' championship right now. What do you think is going to be the key for these drivers as we watch this formation lap for trying to secure things on either side, drivers or constructors championship?
Well, considering how close it is between Graxon and John Meister at the moment, 19 points separating them, you've also got to look at the constructor battle between Alfa Romeo and Mercedes, separated by 2 points for P2. And of course, it all goes down to the wire in a week's time on December 3rd at the Las Vegas Grand Prix. So it's about keeping your nose clean in the first few laps. Don't have any off tracks. Don't have any drive-through penalties or 5-second penalties come your way. That's going to be the key point, and you want to minimize everything, but you also want to get that launch off the line up that hill into T1.
28 laps of action getting ready to come forward, and it is truly not a sprint. This is the race. This is the point where the drivers need to keep their head, and you see a varying amount of strategies. Majority of drivers on soft tires or mediums, but I do see Baran on the hard tires. So Red Bull opting for that alternate strategy, and I think that Graxon and Baran are going to try to make Baran very, very instrumental in that battle with Graxon and John Meister. Of course, our sprint race set things up. Debe was one of our big retirements from the sprint race, and he, unfortunately, we'll be starting back in the back of the field there in that Williams. I always bring up David because it's always unfortunate to kind of see him fall backwards and see things through. But hey, you never know. One thing with pole position racing is expect the unexpected, and anything can happen here with 28 laps of action coming our way as the drivers get ready. I'm going to ask you the question, Alex. What's your prediction here? Who wins the race today?
I'm going to wait and see how it all pans out, Brad. This is my first time doing a call on F1 2023, actually, of any F1 esports of any kind. So I'm going to be interested to see what Simon does from 13th on the grid. Tazza's just been disqualified from the session. Kula's just been disqualified from the session. So that's going to allow a few of the drivers like Wasserschein, Maverick, Dormati, Simon, the tension's building ahead of this penultimate race of this season for pole position racing for Season 9. And there they go, off and away.
5 red lights, and we are underway. Gelajne will lead the charge up the hill. Look at that back in the background. That is Kula, and that is Tazo getting very, very defensive. 3 wide through. Bit of a tap there between Tazo, Kula, and Baran, but they get away very well. You see the Ferrari of Dormati bumping it with Maverick a little bit there for P10, but up in the front of the field as we run through the S's for the first of 28 times, it's Gelajne, John Meister, Graxon holding on to those top 3 positions, and not Velocity up in 4th place. There's your AWS pit stop strategy. Soft to mediums or medium to hards is the predicted, so it looks like Baran truly is the odd one out, but Baran doing his best to hold on to P6. Of course, no DRS for 2 laps after the start of the race, so the drivers just get to rely on pace and a bit of skill. And look at that in the background. That is Tazo up the inside of Baran. Those hard tires proving to be disadvantageous instead of advantageous and dropping him down there into 7th place now. He's going to try to charge against Tazo, but he's going to have to settle in, going into slipstream down this long backstretch. And as we hit turn 12 for the first of 28 times, it looks like at the moment things are very much a guess of who to look where. John Meister's Gelajne swapping positions now, and John Meister finds himself in the lead.
That was a very clean move up the inside by John Meister on Zelazny, but Graxon's got to make some hay whilst the sun shines. Not Velocity and Kazdi side by side for 4th position as we head towards turns 17 and 18, this fast double right-hander complex before turn 19. And then you've got the tight left-hander that brings them onto the start-finish straight through turn number 20. So John Meister has done exactly what I said it should be, and he's just put in a 1:36.487 to go fastest of anybody. Bridges the gap between himself and Zelazny to nearly 4.5 tenths of a second. Graxon rounding out P3. Kazdi looking up the inside of Not Velocity through into turn 1. Now it's down the dip. They're going to be wheels to wheels, side by side, through into turns 2 to 6. And Not Velocity hangs on in 4th place in the Alpine at the moment, Brad.
And now Velocity holding on to P4 in the Alpine, but of course he does have a very, very hungry team of Alfa Romeo right behind. Kashi and Tazo will continue to apply the pressure as we go, and of course they are trying to leave Baran in the dust. Debe, Myros, and Dormati getting very, very swirly together back in the background, and they kind of settle things up there for P12. And finally, going into turn 11, Kashi gets past Not Velocity there for 4th place now, and the Alfa Romeo will try to run through, but of course his teammate Tazo will want to make the pass as well, and it really is anyone's guess how this kind of ends up, because as we get at the end of this long straight down into turn 12, it's a hard braking zone, and there's a little bit of contact between Not Velocity and Tazo, but it doesn't look like that causes any damage for these drivers. So now we just settle in, and it's an Alfa Romeo sandwich with an Alpine as the filling.
Yeah, it's the Italian bread with the French filling in the middle there, Brad. But Not Velocity has the opportunity to keep a hold on the back rear wing of Gazti, as we will get DRS opened after lap 2 out of 28 here at Circuit of the Americas. It's always been a fantastic circuit for the Formula One brigade to race at, as they will now start lap 3, and now DRS is active. It's enabled, so Zelazny, Graxon will have the opportunity to use DRS, and then it will be the Kajdi train from 4th backwards, because Not Velocity has DRS, so does Tazo, so does Baran, Kula, Maverick. Busick rounding out 10th position in the second of the Alpines, is about 0.3 of a second behind Maverick in the Haas, who's doing a great job on the soft tyres. But yeah, I think Baran, as the race progresses, the hard tyres will come to the Red Bull driver in 7th position, so expect a little bit of an overcut later on in the race.
Yeah, Baran setting things very, very well. Again, that alternate strategy in the Red Bull, I'm very curious to see how that works in the long game here. Early on, of course, he is going to be feeling the pain, Alex, and trying to hold on, but it's the long game that Red Bull's playing, and this is a long race of 28 laps, with a lap about 1:35, 1:40 a lap that we're expecting through here. So drivers are just going to have to hold on. But DRS Open, that top 3 is going to be where you see the big battles begin, because John Meister, Zelazny, and Graxon. Zelazny, of course, a former champion here in pole position racing, and he is really just running for the bragging rights of another win. And it's Graxon and John Meister that are competing for the championship. So Zelazny will find himself in the middle of 2 very hungry drivers. And how he plays in this? It's anyone's guess. He wants to win just as bad as anyone, but of course Zelazny is not running for the championship. It's the 2 around him, and we have a yellow flag, sector 3. It looks like that is actually going to be Zelazny's teammate. Frantic, spinning there on that tricky turn 15, but he's back going. No issues there. So we'll keep our eyes on these leaders here as we start lap 4 of 28, Alex.
Yeah, DRS is going to be quite crucial at the additional speed, anywhere between 8 to 10 miles an hour. That's probably the best part of nearly 15 kph that these drivers will get through the assistance of DRS, and it's going to be very, very prevalent down the start-finish straight and that long run down from turn 11 to turn 12. But John Meister just keeping things nice and calm and casual, not overdriving the car, keeping Zelazny at bay, who is, even on the mediums, doing a pretty sterling job in 2nd position. It was just Graxon didn't really get a good start off the line, and John Meister from the inside of row 2, from 3rd place, managed to get the lead by turn 12, past Zelazny in the McLaren on the opening lap at turn 12. So already, you look at it from this perspective, are we using normal, traditional Formula 1 point scoring for this championship, I hope?
We are.
Well, that now makes it... who's got the fastest lap at the moment, Brad? Because if it's John Meister, then he has shaved that gap down to 8 points, because it's 25 for a win, 18 for 2nd, 15 for 3rd, and we've got the additional point for fastest lap. So John Meister is closing that gap, even though we're early doors. Lap 4 out of 28. John Meister's doing exactly what he needs to do to put the pressure onto Graxon for the run to the title.
He just needs to hold on and make the run through. Wasserschwein retiring out of the session. It looks like a spin in the 1st sector, and it does look like yellow flag at the end of 1st sector, start of the middle sector. Looks like Wasserschwein is out. I don't see any safety cars being called. Of course, change was made mid-season to a reduced safety car decision, just due to wanting more competitive racing and not wanting every 5 or 6 laps the single small spin to result in a safety car. And we saw during the sprint, we had a driver wreck and we only had a VSC for a moment. And it's proven to be very nice in terms of competition, but it does help these drivers also settle that strategy in and know, hey, this is where I need to look. This is how far I'm going to have to go in order to try to make it for my pit stop window. They're looking at a pit stop around probably lap 14 for those soft tire runners. Maybe a little bit sooner than that if they opt to go on the hards. And Dormati now with a fastest lap of the Grand Prix there on fresh softs. But again, all eyes on these battles up front. John Meister and Jalajne battling P1, P2. And then you got a 1.5-second gap back to Graxon. Graxon just settling in a little bit here, and Cashty has reeled him in to 0.5 second the gap there with DRS. He might be close enough for a dive into turn 12, but we'll see. He peeks the nose out. He thinks about it, but not close enough to make a clean pass there, and he is going to hold on. P4 at the moment, not Velocity, and P5 there in the Alpine.
Yeah, Graxon has got a lot in his rearview mirrors. The black and red of that Alfa Romeo of Kajti, who is trying to close that gap. I think he was just sort of putting the feelers out, just trying to test the waters, so to speak, with Graxon, because, as you said, Graxon trying to get into a rhythm and might try and make those softs go a little bit longer. There has been a change for the race lead. Zelazny has got past John Meister, so that has again opened up the gap between our second and third place drivers battling for this season 9 of pole position racing, as Kajti now looks through at turn 1. That's Graxon down to 4th. Kajti in the Alfa Romeo up to P3.
And there we go. Kashti getting that pass done. But again, I think Graxon is trying to play the long game here, Alex, as you mentioned. He's just trying to settle in. He wants that rhythm. He's not going to overdrive the car, because the big things that you don't want to do here, you don't want any track limits violations. You don't want any penalties added to your race. And you don't want to bend the car early on just trying to make a bonehead decision and run through. And Graxon's a very smart driver. He knows the long game through, and he is really just settling in and trying to run long term. Hula and Debe making a pass here. There's a big bottleneck there. 3 wide going into turn 11 here. And you can see Kula gets the advantage. Debe's on the inside. Myros and Buchek are battling this out. And this is for the last of the points paying places. This is for P10, Alex. This is not for our race lead. And it does seem like up front it is still a mix through. But this 4-car battle for P8 essentially is really keeping things mixed up as we go into turn 12.
Yeah, Debe gets through on Kula in the Alpha Tauri for 8th position. So from the back end of the field, Debe's halfway through it at the moment. Of course, Wasserschwein, for those wondering what the German translation of that is, that's water pig in other words, is the only retiree out of the 16 cars. So we've got 15 runners and riders still going. Buchek trying to close in on Kula. So there is a bit of a DRS train happening, but Debe's starting to stride away from Kula to the tune of about 4.5 tenths of a second. As we're now on to lap 7 out of 28. So some good dueling and dicing, even though it's at the bottom part of the top 10. As Kula puts in a 1 minute 40.473. In the meantime, Graxon and Kajti are swapping places more times than I've had hot Sunday roast dinners this season for 3rd and 4th place. So John Meister now losing time to Zelazny, who has got, I think, really good tyre activation on those medium compound tyres with that McLaren. He's 1.6 seconds up the road. But I think Graxon, as you said, just trying to go for the long game. Maybe John Meister might be starting to do that as well, considering he's let Zelazny get away into the distance. But consider this. There's only 3 points, so 19 points between Graxon and John Meister in the battle for the title. That's now down to 16 points. It was down at 1 point earlier on not Velocity has factored back into this battle for P3. So Kazdi looking around the outside. He's going to get the inside line for the next corner. That's going to be going through turn number 13. Graxon keeps it pinned. Kasti still again going wheel to wheel, not Velocity waiting in the wings, and again Kasti keeping it pinned round the outside. This is very, very close. They could interlock wheels. They're going to go into the double right at 17 and 18. Kasti trying to find the move up the inside, but Graxon still holds on.
Now not Velocity with a run. Look at that. He gets around the outside of Kashti. Because Kashti is actually going to dive into the pits here. Kashti opting to pit early here. He brings the battle to Graxon for all of that third sector, Alex, and then dives into the pits here. And we'll see what his pit strategy is. Look at this. Most of the field is going to get around him here.
He could go for a two-stopper here, Brad. There's going to be what tyres have we got going on? We have got the hard compounds. He could be doing a bit of a Checo Perez, maybe. Could Kazdi? It depends on how long Baran is going to run the tyres for in fifth position. Those hard compound tyres. That's 2 runners out of the 15 still running here at Kota that have gone onto the hard compound tyres. We've got a caution in sector 2, and that looks to be toward. Oh, that's not Velocity who's dropped it. Oh, dearie me. After that squabble between him, Graxon, and Kazdi, not Velocity, drops towards 10th. Maverick in the hearts. Looking at the inside, it's just tangled with him.
And that is very unfortunate to see. Maverick will try to get his way back around, get that car turned around. I don't see any front wing damage, thankfully, but Maverick dropping way back here. It looks like not Velocity, possibly overheating the tires in the first sector, dropping it, and then just, I don't think he knew that Maverick was on the inside, and Maverick just had more of a pace advantage and was, at racing speed, tried to go up the inside and wasn't able to make the pass, and that's going to be a steward's inquiry later. That'll be a conversation for later, and I will tell you there's moments like this where I'm so glad I don't sit in the steward's room.
You and me both, Brad, because we just talk and we give our own neutral, unbiased opinion, and if we call a spade, that's how it all pans out. But yeah, look at the gap now. Zelazny, after 8 laps, we're on to lap 9 out of 28. He's 2.6 seconds up the road from John Meister, who in turn is about 2 seconds, who's quite a distance ahead of Graxon. Baron doing very, very well there. Tazo in the pits for Alfa Romeo, so that will drop him out of the top 10. Simon for Mercedes could be helping a little bit here because that's an additional point for them. So looking at it from this perspective, Kazdi and Tazo not at the moment scoring. Oh, Busek's got a 3-second time penalty. So that is going to dump him probably around about 9th position at the moment as things stand on lap 9 out of 28. So Busek becoming the first to have a time penalty. And it is about keeping your nose clean and keeping off those track limits.
Yeah, and that's something as this race develops and goes on, we'll see more and more penalties through. Buchek taking the first penalty, though, of the evening here. Lap 9 of 28, and we're about a third away through the race here, and Davies dropped back, and Zelazny got the pole position for the sprint by about half a second, 0.4 of a second, if I'm remembering correct. So it's not surprising me to see Zelazny pulling out such a gap on John Meister as he tries to settle in here and just get the long run. John Meister and Graxon also settling in, going for the long game here on those soft tires, and I'm curious to know which one of those two drivers blinks and goes to the pits first. Who is going to try the undercut or the overcut? And we saw in the sprint race, Baran defending very, very hard against John Meister on Graxon's behalf. Baran on those hard tires is going to run long, and I'm curious to see how Baran factors into this 2-horse race for the championship, where the team strategy is going to come into play as we have more drivers into the pits now. Kula and Debe into the pits here. Kashti now moving up here. Both Alphas pitting early and opting possibly for long runs on those hard tires, but I'm going to guess they're going to do a 2-stop as well, Alex, just as you did, and it really is just, I don't know. I don't know who's going to pull what here. It's all mixed up at this point, and we'll see how things settle in as we hit the long run of the race here, Alex.
Yeah, I think probably the best chart, if you've got onto the softs first and you want to do a 2-stopper, which is going to be the fastest, if not the fastest way to get around this circuit here at Kota over a 28 lap race, your probable preference will be soft, and then hard, or maybe medium, more to the likely. Because the thing is that mediums tend to activate a little bit quicker than the hards, but as the hard tires are used over more consistent laps with a consistent pace, as we see Busek and Myros battling away over 5th position. So Busek is through on the road, but when the stopwatch says dictates everything at the end of the race, that won't be the case because Busek, behind in terms of time, race time in total, would be behind Myros in the Aston Martin. So a good little battle here for 5th place between the Alpine and the Aston Martin.
Yeah, it is unfortunate that he picks up that penalty, but he does get to serve it during his pit stop, which will prove it'll help him a little bit, but it will set him back a bit. Graxit and Baron swapping positions on the road here, and we see the team strategy coming in. Baron on a separate tire strategy, and Graxit doesn't want to hold him up. So Graxit lets his teammate through there, coming out of the final corner, going down into turn one, and now Baron just needs to buckle up and run and let those hard tires open. He's got a 6.5 second gap that he needs to find and go through, and possibly a little bit of connection lag, but it looks like it'll settle itself out here in the coming moments as we go. Graxit and Baron playing that long game. Of course, they have P1 and the Constructors buttoned up, so they don't have anything to worry about. The big battle in the Constructors is that P2, the Alfa Romeo, the Mercedes battle, and of course the Drivers' Championship. Graxit and John Meister going through. But Baron already taking out about 0.5 second of that gap between John Meister and Baron. And it seems like Baron, even on hard tires, seems to have some good pace coming in right now.
Yeah, we're getting to the end of the window of opportunity for drivers on the soft compound tyres to pit. I mean, on the AWS stats, it was saying around about lap 12, lap 13, if you're going to switch from the soft. So I'll be interested to see how much further Baran gets away from Graxent. I mean, Graxent would be better off, as we're seeing a few more penalties coming in. Myros has got a 3-second time penalty. Dormati has got one. And Kazti's also got a penalty as well. So that's the black and white flag on the right-hand side of the timing tower. So a few drivers coming under the kibosh of 3-second time penalties for multiple track limit violations. And if those occur anymore during the race, folks, those penalties will increase in time severity.
Yeah, it's one of those things that the drivers need to balance how much they push versus the track limits. And track limits at COTA here are very strict. It is the white lines. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. It's if all 4 tires are outside of the white line, that's where we call the track limits violations here. Big winners and losers of the race. Myros and Buchek, big winners, up 10 and 8 places respectively. John Meister's up a place. Baran is up 3. Of course, Graxent's down 2, but I don't anticipate seeing Graxent stay there, and everybody else has shuffled a bit. Wasserschwein, our only DNF here in the session. And we see here the variety of tires. It's a rainbow all the way up and down the grid for who is on what tire. But top of the field spreading out, and this tends to be what we see at COTA as well. We see the racers tend to spread out, run their own pace. This is really a pace-dominant circuit here for pole position racing, and we really see where the driver's pace dictates. But safety cars can change anything, and we haven't had a safety car yet here in this race, and who knows? You never know when one can come out here.
Yeah, very much the case. I mean, any big incident where a car gets significantly damaged as a result of contact with another vehicle, or maybe losing it, if the tyre deg is at such a point where the rear tyres have fallen off a cliff, so to speak, and well, there you go, Busick having an absolute mare, big old tank slapper after 11 laps on the soft compound tyres. I would imagine that Busick will be pitting very, very shortly to get rid of those soft compound tyres, because there's Kajti right on his rear wing and trying to go for the move. He's swarming all over the back of the Alpine, heading through turn 19, and there you go, Busick into the pit lane. We'll have a 3-second stop on hold before they can start working on the car.
John Meister and Graxent into the pits as well. Baran stays out on the hards. Jalajne still out on the mediums. Those mediums should run several more laps. And as we see here, it is going to be John Meister up into 4th. Not Velocity will go into 5th here as he goes out on track, but as it goes through on the pit stops, Graxent will come through. John Meister is ahead just a little bit as John Meister exits out ahead of traffic, and Graxent will actually exit behind traffic. So several cars getting in between now, most notably Tazo there in P6, as Tazo has stopped and is on the hard tires. He's on a slightly different strategy than those two, and Graxent and John Meister going on to the mediums here as we are nearing the halfway point of this race here, Alex. And again, it's still not clear between John Meister and Graxent and Velajne which one of them will finish where, but of course, Baran still on the hard tires will have to pit late. Not Velocity still needs to pit as well, and it seems like every other driver has hit except for Frantic back in P13.
Yeah, also the big thing is that look at what the current running order is at the moment. Alfa Romeo, 3rd and 5th, with Kajti and Tazo, who's being frantically chased down by Not Velocity in the leading Alpine at the moment, with Buchek down in 10th position. So Mercedes are now going to be on the back foot because Simon hasn't really made any inroads. He's all the way down in 14th place, whereas John Meister's currently P4. That's 12 points. for Mercedes, and then Kajdi and Tazo, that's 25. So straight away, it's not looking good in the battle for P2 in the constructors, as we've got a caution out in sector 3, as Not Velocity comes in after 12 laps to pit. And there you see Dormati. That's a bit of a wiggling back end on that Ferrari, which has been out on the soft compound tyre for 10 laps. So Dormati pitting early. Velocity has now dropped out, so will more than likely drop out of the top 10 when Debbie from in the Williams comes through, as that is Not Velocity in the pits. Franek in the pits now in that McLaren, but Zelazny still leading the way by 13 seconds ahead of Baran, who's been on those hard compound tyres pretty much from when we started.
Yeah, Baran very much playing the long game, and I'm enjoying it. We'll see when he decides to pit, as we're officially halfway through this race now. And look at this, Kula trying to chase down Myros here. P7 is in the battle, and Buchek not far behind, just over a second. Looks like just outside of DRS range. Yellow flag sector 1, I believe that is Dormati, who has spun again there in the first sector, but it looks like he should be able to get back going. No issues there, but it is a bad day to be a Tifosi fan, as art imitates life, and it's very, very unfortunate for Dormati having a rough weekend here at Circuit of the Americas. But with those soft tires, especially when they get older, once they start to overheat, they are very unforgiving, and that first sector is punishing all the way through.
Yeah, very much echoes the likes of Maggots, Beckett, and Chapel at Silverstone between turns 2 to 7. You really, really have to watch the sidewall loading on these Pirelli tyres, and no matter what compound they are, but the hard seems to be working with it a little bit better. We're riding with the Kula in the Alpha Tauri, closing in on Maidos in the Aston Martin. Of course, Kasti now has a 3-second time penalty. Maidos, Buchek, Maverick and Dormati all have 3-second time penalties that they will have to serve on a next pit stop, or if they get to the end of the race, it will be added post-race. I mean, Dormati having a unfortunate spin at the end of sector 1 through turn number 6, but fingers crossed he can close that gap to Franek, whereas Simon now is only a couple of positions away from the top 10, rounded out by Debbie in the Williams. Not Velocity is about 5.9 seconds behind the Williams in 11th place, but is now running on the medium compound tyres, so hopefully the Alpine can switch those on in the hands of Not Velocity a little bit quicker.
We definitely hope, as Not Velocity coming through the first sector looking good. Look at this battle right here with Graxit and Tazo coming around, and it looks like Graxit has worked his way past Tazo. Look at Tazo, though, getting very, very cheeky there up the inside, and Dormati retiring in the pit lane while we watch this. But Tazo trying to put the pressure on Graxit there. It's the hard tires, 6 laps old, versus the medium tires, 2 laps old. And it does look like Graxit has a bit of a pace advantage early on, but those hard tires should come to him as we go, or those hard tires should come up as the medium tires start to wear out. So Tazo in a very, very good position. And looky there, who is 8.2 seconds up the road from Graxit? It's John Meister. And he's got a handful of laps here to try to close things up and try to close that 8.3 second gap. I'm not saying it's not doable. I'm just saying that's a big gap to close here on the difference of medium tires. So similar pace. It's going to be tough. And John Meister has Kashti half a second up the road for company.
And also, more importantly, John Meister has DRS at his disposal as well. So this could be the opportunity that John Meister manages to put another car between him and Graxent. Because at the moment, John Meister currently running P4. That's 12 points. Graxent 5th. That's 10 points. As John Meister looking up the inside, launches it through on Kajti in the Alfa Romeo. That was priceless through turn number 11. John Meister taking full advantage of the use of that DRS.
John Meister loving the helping hand of DRS, and now he's got 5 seconds up the road on Baran as he gets DRS all the way down this back straight to try to defend against Kashti, and does so. And now he can set his sights on moving forward and going through. But of course, remember, Jalajne has not pit yet, Baran has not pit yet, but they've got pretty big gaps. And I have to wonder, when do they decide to pit? Because at this point, well, as I say it, Jalajne into the pits here, and we'll see what Jalajne opts to do. He should come out here in the battle for the podium still, I believe, as he goes through. He's on medium tires, and it is the red-walled soft tires that are going on that Papaya McLaren.
Oh, bit of additional splash of colour to Zelazny. Of course, this is going to be very, very crucial. He will be able to coax these tyres to the end as Baran now takes the race lead on lap 17 out of 28. And there is John Meister looking round the outside at turn 1. Is he going to get the run through into turn 2? That's a great opportunistic move from John Meister, but Zelazny still side by side, wheel to wheel as they head through into turns 4, 5 and 6. Zelazny manages to get those tyres heated up very, very quickly and keeps John Meister at bay for second. Great exchange.
Amazing move there. John Meister just opportunistic, but the McLaren team getting a perfect pit stop done. And then you see John Meister just trying, but Zelazny using the advantage of that first sector and just firing it through. You can't go side by side through that first sector, and he knows it. And John Meister, being the smart driver and backing out, he will of course have DRS, but now it's brand new soft tires for Zelazny through the end of the race, and he needs to gauge it out. He needs to be patient, but also push. And I know that's very counterproductive to say, but here's what I mean. John Meister needs to remember that these soft tires have to last the next 11 laps. And he needs to remember that soft tires have to last 11 laps. It's very hard for them to do that. So if he can hold on just enough to the back near the end of the race, the tires should drop off, and John Meister should be able to keep enough pace in those mediums. Should be able to, being the key word here. It's all a matter of how things play out through the end of this race, because they are, of course, battling through for the podium as Baran pits in on those hard tires. He goes 17 laps, so he took the hard tires as long as Zelazny took the mediums, and it's medium tires going on for Baran, so Baran does not believe the softs will last to the end. As we see, he'll come out behind his teammate, so he won't be able to help in that battle against John Meister, but I don't know where things will land for them through. Tazo in P5 now as Baran drops all the way back into a heap of traffic here, into P8, possibly P9 if Kula can get past.
Yeah, also interesting, we saw that Baran was on those hard compound tyres for 17 laps. Kazti's been on them for 10, so he's going to have to pit on lap 25, Brad, and he could very well go back onto those soft compound tyres and really have the pace underneath that Alfa Romeo, and whether that might stand him in good stead towards the end of the race is anyone's guess.
Yeah, anyone's guess all the way through how this ends. 10 laps to go now as we see Tazo here trying to defend this P5 against Buchik in P6, Myros in P7, and Baran in 8th place now on those brand new mediums. And it's a tall defense to defend from that Red Bull driver. He's got a lot of pace in him, but he is back a little bit. And look at this. Up the inside goes Buchik against him, and there goes Myros with a very opportunistic move, and he gets 2 places for the price of 1. Everybody's swirling around, and now Baran says, hey, can I have a mix of this as well? As Baran finds his way up into P6 now. Tazo up and Myros side by side will try to hold the inside line here around through turn 15, and Myros gets a little loose out, and Tazo will find his way into 7th, but Buchik with a very, very advantageous move finds 5th place. Baran in 6th on brand new mediums. Can he hold on to it coming through turn 19? And now we come around into turn 20, and it looks like at the moment Baran will settle into 2nd. Tazo and Myros battling behind, and actually that is Tazo into the pits here as Baran with DRS open will dive up the inside and going into turn 1. It looks like Baran should be able to secure up into 5th place. He's got 7.7 seconds ahead to his teammate and a very, very fast Alpine behind, but Baran being able to be very advantageous there and get up into 5th place.
Well, Myros got the wrath of the stewards because he got a 5-second time penalty for that absolute lunge, which ended up being a corner cut, a big one. And that was all 4 wheels off the circuit, out of the white lines and onto the grass. So, yeah, Myros didn't really do himself much favours there, to be completely honest, Brad. But, yeah, Baran has only been on these medium compound tyres for what will now be 2 laps, as we're on lap 19 out of 28. And, Zelazny might be able to keep that 5-second advantage, but I'm going to be interested to see if John Meister can start to really push those mediums a little bit harder and just try and close that gap, because whatever he does now is going to stand him in good stead. But the thing is, Kazti's got to try and bridge the gap between himself and Graxon to keep that final step of the rostrum alive.
Yeah, Graxon's starting to close things in. 2.4 seconds the gap there, and we're seeing him slowly bring things forward and reel in Kashti for that 3rd step of the podium. And this does keep the championship battle very much alive in John Meister's favor. Does it make it difficult? Yes. But does it make it impossible? No. And that is what John Meister is looking for here. What can he do to try to build that championship battle his way and swing the pendulum around? All the drivers are spaced out quite a bit. Fastest lap comes in from Baran now, the Red Bull driver, on those brand new medium tires that now have a couple laps under their belt, but he's got them up to speed very quickly, and he has found fastest lap, so he's got some pace to challenge through. But Jalajne, third lap on those softs, and he is just pacing his way forward. He's got 6.9 seconds to John Meister to hold on to, and the field really is spread out here. Debe is the closest battle, just under a second behind Not Velocity, trying to find P9 there between the Williams and the Alpine. Where they end up, I don't know, but I will tell you in my experience as well with pole position racing, usually when things settle down like this is where something happens and when things get very, very close on the battle, and I'm expecting to see something open up or close very, very soon, and the drivers are keeping a little bit of pace under their belt. I can almost guarantee you that, Alex.
Yeah, they'll be conserving tyres as much as they can, as we're on lap 20 out of 28, so 8 to go here at Circuit of the Americas for round 11 of pole position racing season 9. We head to Las Vegas in just a week's time on December 3rd to see who will be our season 9 champion. Will it be John Meister or Gragson? Because it is going to go down to the wire at the moment as things stand, taking into consideration Cassidy's got to do a pit stop. That's going to allow Gragson to go up into third place, which will give him 15 points. John Meister currently on 18 in this race, so that'll mean the gap will be just 16 points heading into Las Vegas in a week's time. So John Meister is trying to bag the points, and they do say that consistency wins you a championship, but if Gragson has a drama between now and the end of the race, that could be a bit of an opportunity for John Meister to go into Las Vegas with the utmost amount of confidence and go for the title.
Now, we'll say, with the exception of round 1 between Gragson and John Meister, neither of these drivers have finished outside of the top 5 when they finished a race. And so very, very consistent. It's been 3 wins, 6 podiums for John Meister, and it's been 2 wins and 5 podiums for Gragson. So very consistent running. There is a DNF there in the mix for John Meister at round 6 in Hungary, or in Austria. So that is where this championship battle is so close. And look at this, speaking of battles getting close, Gragson has closed that gap up to Cashby with the help of DRS down the back straight here going into turn 12. He is going to just cruise on by. So Gragson will find his way forward into that third place. He's now on the podium, and he needs to set his sights out. 7 seconds that he needs to make up. Maverick retiring with a spin in Sector 1, excuse me. And what does that breed? A virtual
safety. I was just about to say, virtual safety car out on lap 21. My goodness. You said something might happen. You were definitely right on that one, Brad.
I will tell you right now, Jalajne and John Meister are both very thankful it is not a full safety car. However, virtual safety car deployed, it looks like, for a wreck there in turn number 1, taking out Maverick. So both Hasses with a weekend they want to forget here in the USA, and that puts things in a very good mix. Cashty dives into the pits right as the VSC ends. It was a very short VSC, so Cashty will not get any advantage from pitting in, as he technically is just pitting under a green flag run. So Cashty will drop back a little bit here, and we'll see how that mixes things up for him. But now Gragson needs to set his sights forward. 7.3 seconds he needs to find on John Meister. He's been saving those medium tires a little bit, and you can see there on the front of your screen is Gragson. Behind him is his teammate Baran, 3.5 seconds back. What can Gragson do to catch John Meister now? 7.2 the gap.
No, too few laps for Gragson to close that gap. I mean, they pitted at the same time. It was a case of John Meister having to cover off Gragson in order to not allow Gragson to have an opportunity to try and close in on Zelazny, who is clear and is checked out. 10.3 seconds up the road from John Meister, and the title is going to go down to the wire, folks. There is no championship decider here tonight. It's going to be on the Las Vegas main strip in Las Vegas in a week's time. That's where you're going to have to wait and find out who will be the Season 9 champion. But, you know, it's solid points for both John Meister and Gragson. They won't want, you know, one of the things they didn't want to have was to be outside of the top 5, or worse still, have a DNF, because that goes against you.
Yeah, and thankfully for them, it's been very, very consistent running all the way through here, and you can see why they're the ones in the contention for the Drivers' Championship. They've been consistent all season, and they have ran very, very competitive all season going through. It was a three-way battle before with Graxit, John Meister, and Jack, but of course Jack has missed the past couple weeks, and that has dropped him back in the Drivers' Championship. Cashty, of course, battling for P3 in the Drivers' Championship. And with Jack not here this weekend, that should help his charge as well moving forward. Cashty on those brand new softs in P7 at the moment, and he is going to try to set a charge up towards the end. He was purple third sector on his outlap, so we'll see how he can charge through on this push lap as things go. Graxit still 7 seconds behind, but his teammates catching up to him there. Baran 2.4 seconds now, the gap there between third and fourth place, and it's a couple of small battles through the field as we hit 5 to go here this round through. It's Myros in P6. It's Debe in 10th place, Tazo in 11th, and they are all trying to just settle up those last places as they can. John Meister, I think, has settled himself for a comfortable P2, and Graxit, unless he can find some charge here with just a few laps remaining, I think is going to be settled in for a comfortable P3 as well.
I think if Graxit was only a second and a half behind John Meister here, Brad, then there would be the push. You know, Graxit would want to make sure that he got the runner-up step on the rostrum. As we see Morris and Busick still battling away over P5, heading down into turn 12, now into 13 and 14. Busick still holding on to that 5th place, but of course, let's not forget Busick, Morris and Cashty. Oh, bit of wheel banging between Debbie and Not Velocity, and it's getting a bit too close. They nearly interlock wheels there. They've got Tazo right behind Debbie and Velocity. Not Velocity. Oh, what a move from Tazo from Alfa Romeo. Gets through on the pair of them, loses all that momentum, and Debbie gets back through for 9th. Great stuff.
Man, I thought for a second Tazo had it, and then he just dropped backwards out of turn 15. For a second, he saw the opportunity, took it 3 wide, and then just couldn't capitalize and hold on to it. But man, did he try. Cashty, fastest lap of the Grand Prix through, and now Tazo around the inside here on Not Velocity, trying to hold on to that 10th place. Not close enough, and there we go. The double dose of DRS trying to go through inside of turn 1. How does Tazo do this? Well, he sets it up and gets the pass done very, very smooth into a 10th place, and now he's just got to hold on to it, and Tazo will be trying to push Debe here around the track as hard as he can, and look at this through slightly alternate line through that first sector, doing the best he can through the S's, and Tazo will stay just within touching distance of Debe. And up ahead, Tazo's teammate Cashty getting very, very dicey against Buchik. So it's one Alfa Romeo Alpine battle, and it's another Alfa Romeo Alpine battle as we see. And Myros trying to stay in the mix as well on those 11-lap-old hard tires. Cashty up the inside here against Buchik, and he does get the pass done up into 5th place. Buchik's going to try to fight it, but Tazo has DRS, or Cashty has DRS all the way down the back straight there. Isn't able to hold on to it. And now we check in with his teammate Tazo. Tazo up into the P9, and again, all the way down, has DRS, able to hold on to that P9 against Kula. And against Debe, and is going to try to set out for P8 against Kula here. 3 laps to go here, Alex, and it's still anyone's guess who finishes where.
Well, also in the continuing battle for P2 in the Constructors' Championship, Mercedes have a clear lead. It's 12 points to Alfa Romeo, with Cashty and Tazo 5th and 9th respectively. John Meister on 18 points. So that will mean that Mercedes will stay ahead going into the final round of the season next time out at Las Vegas in the Nevada desert. But yeah, with 3 to go, Zelazny's just not needing to panic. He's got plenty of time. He can take it like a Sunday afternoon drive in the countryside on the local highway. He's absolutely fine, is our race leader.
Checking in with our race leader here, because we haven't looked at him in a while. He's coming down the back straight, and you can see just full calm, collected. He's not pushing the car in any way, and behind him there, just now starting on the back stretch, is John Meister there in P2. And I mean, that is a considerable gap when you say it's a backstretch, and about 3/4 of the backstretch is the gap between John Meister and Graxit Baran. Baran is closing the gap slowly to his teammate Graxit, but I think Red Bull are going to settle in P3, P4. They are looking at the bigger picture here, and I don't think Baran wants to be known as the person that cost his teammate the Drivers' Championship here in pole position racing. We settle in now, again, still watching that battle for P6. It's Myros and Buchik here with half a second the gap. Myros with the help of DRS, and he's trying to go around the outside here, and Buchik parks that car beautifully right in the center line, and Myros not able to get the pass done, but behind him, Tazo will get the run on Kula here. Tazo now up into P8, and remember, Tazo just recently pit, so he is on 6-lap-old soft tires. His teammate's on 3-lap-old soft tires. So he's trying to use the best of that tire life as he can before it runs out and before the race runs out, because it is going to be 2 to go when they hit the line here.
Yeah, and now it's a case of who's going to put up or shut up. I think it's mainly now about how you defend. If you need to make that rear wing or that back of that car as wide as humanly possible, now's the time to start eking out your strategy. Cooler's got Debe about 0.8 of a second behind, who's got not velocity right on his case. Debe, who started 16th, last after what happened in the sprint earlier on, charged his way through to 8th before the halfway point of this race. So Debe, you have to give a big old shout out on total commitment and still keeping a Williams in the points paying positions. But coming through this fastest part of the circuit, again, we've seen it where the likes of Dormati, Wasserschwein, Maverick have had dramas here, but everyone else seems to now have their rhythm set in. We're getting towards the checker because it's going to be 1 lap to go after this one. And yeah, it's just about banking those points. I mean, Tazo getting another point in the bag for Alfa Romeo, that's going to help them, but still Mercedes have a 5-point advantage in terms of points banked in this race, and that is quite crucial.
Yeah, and again, it's all comes down to the wire on the Vegas Strip. We keep our America run here, and it's truly anyone's guess how it goes here. And Kula holding on here against Tazo. You can see just 0.4 of a second the gap. He's got the DRS down the back straight, but just not able to use the pace advantage of those hard tires. He's not getting a good enough exit out of turn 11. And Myros there trying to chase down Buchik in for P6. Debe is defending for his life for the last of the points paying places and doing a fairly amazing job at it, as you pointed out. And Not Velocity has had pace this entire race, and if there is a time where you need to pull out the last of those tires, it's going to be right about now as they come around here, and this is going to be the big battle that we need to see. And I think it's crazy when you look at the spread of the field. Jalajne has almost lapped Frantic, his teammate, as they are both going down the backstretch now. Lap 27 of 28. And you see Baran less than a second away from his teammate Graxon as they go through the first sector here. And it is a question of what do the Bulls do? Do they hold position? Do they rotate through? I believe hold position is the proper decision for them. But you never know. Graxon could give Baran the run, or Baran could just take it and say, I don't care about team orders. But I can't imagine that happening for them. And Myros here trying to challenge this Alpine, going down to the wire, and you see coming out of this turn 11 down the back straight here, he is going to settle things in. He's going to have the help of DRS, and he is going to try to go against the Alpine as much as he can. You see Buchik getting a bit defensive there, going to the left-hand side, coming back to the right, and there's Myros with a very Fernando Alonso-esque dive down the left-hand side, settles it in before they're into turn 12, and Myros up into 6th place now. Kula now trying to get the battle in for P8 against Tazo. He's going to try to go around the outside, and Tazo defends the inside line. Very, very wise from Tazo to defend that inside line, and Tazo going into this final lap is holding on to P8, and as they cross the line, he'll have one more opportunity to defend that P8 as best as he can. Not Velocity does get past Debe down the straight, and Debe will have one chance to get the last of the points paying places coming back around as our leader has started our final lap.
Yeah, Debe's lost a bag full of time in comparison with Not Velocity, who's now best part of nearly 9.5 of a second up the road, but Debe will still have the benefit coming out of turn 20 with that DRS assist. And there you see Not Velocity, Debe, Kula all running with DRS fully engaged. Tazo coming under fire from the AlphaTauri as they head into turn 1 on the final lap out of 28 here at Circuit of the Americas. There's been some really, really close battles. There's been some clumsy errors. As Busick has got past Maidos now again for 6th position. So that... Oh, and that's Maidos around. He's brought out the caution in sector number 2. Disaster for Aston Martin.
Myros spins out there at the start of Sector 2 and is struggling to get that car going, but that will be very, very good for Buchik, as that will give Buchik the 6th place. Myros drops out of the points, and Debe is gifted P10 here in the mix now, as now his battle went from for P10, it's now the battle for P9 if he can get through. And as they are battling down the back straight, our leader will take the checkered flag to start things through, but it's still that battle for P7 that is not settled until it comes around. And as we see here, they are going in, and Tazo does hold that position through. John Meister will come across the line here, and John Meister will take the P2. Graxon and Baran do end up holding position, and here we go. They will come across P3 and P4 for Red Bull. Graxent, his championship possibilities are still alive, but John Meister is just that much closer to taking that championship and taking that all-important first place. And of course, remember, the prize is a gift from our friends at Racetracks, a custom engraved trophy coming in to the winner from Racetracks here. And I don't think they can start engraving that name yet because it's not settled. And once penalties are applied, Cool is down into P10, Dave P9, not Velocity P8, Tazo 7th, Buchik 6th. We wait for Myros to come across the line on P11. An unfortunate spin, taking him out on the final lap. And that is just your reminder, the race isn't over until you see that checkered flag and he sends it around there at the line. This is a race he wants to forget. And now we just wait Simon to come through, Frantic to come through. But all eyes on our race winner Jalajne and our championship battle between that second and third place finish.
Yeah, McLaren definitely top of the pops here at COTA for round 11. You know, I did catch the tail end of the sprint race, which was rather entertaining, I'll be completely honest with you, Brad. But yeah, the battle lines have been drawn, but next week the war will be won. Whether it will be John Meister, whether it will be Graxian, who will be our Season 9 champions, but Zelazny, a deserving winner for the US Grand Prix here at Circuit of the Americas in the Lone Star State in Texas, and Busek given today's Driver of the Day award.
Very much deserved from him, as we'll see the drivers take the podium and enjoy a quick podium celebration. And, you know, Alex, that I was fully prepared to come into today and call a champion and say things are through, and it just goes to show you that in the world of Formula One, things aren't over till they're over, and we can't all have the Max Verstappen levels of dominance that we saw from him this season. But, man, Graxent and John Meister giving it a try. They've shared the podium pretty much five times this 12-round championship. They've shared the podium like 5 times. So these two are going to be very, very much in the battle, and how appropriate it's a Red Bull and a Mercedes, just to sprinkle that in there as well.
Yeah, just put a little fly in the ointment, so to speak. But yeah, I think Zelazny doing a fantastic job. John Meister, you know, got the great launch off the line, got the lead early doors. Graxian, we knew it was going to be a difficult one for the Red Bull driver, but Baran, I think, did the sensible team player situation. He had fresher tyres, so were five laps younger. He could have gone for the move on Graxon, and it could have gone horribly wrong. But he thought better of it, excuse me.
A great run all the way through the end for the drivers, and a big congrats to all of them. And you see the points totals through. And of course, if you want to join in and you want to find out how the championship implications are, it's exclamation Discord in the chat. If you want to sub to the YouTube, watch the VOD later and see how John Meister and Graxon have performed this season to put them in the position they're in. It's exclamation YouTube in the chat. And then of course, our friends at Racetracks offering their 10% discount with PPR 10, exclamation Racetracks in the chat. Moza Racing, a big thank you for the partnership and the support they give the league, exclamation Moza in the chat. And on behalf of Alex, this is where we're going to call it this week. No drivers interviews. We'll hold on to that for the championship run next week. And ladies and gentlemen, as always, we will see you in 7 days' time at Las Vegas to round out what's been a great Season 9 here of Pole Position Racing.